Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Lonzo and LaVar Ball are in studio, and the gloves are off from UCLA's loss to Kentucky, Lonzo's future, and even a one-on-one challenge to Shannon. Colin Kaepernick remains unsigned, so we invite Seahawks defensive end Michael Bennett to tell you why it's not his skill level that is keeping the former 49ers quarterback from having an NFL contract. And Michael has some words for the NFL commissioner. Our NBA hoops expert Chris Broussard comes to the desk to tell you why he's been right all along, and the Golden State Warriors are the best team in the association. Plus, we play a game of I Told You So as Skip and Shannon react to the news about former Oklahoma running back Joe Mixon moving up the draft board. Finally, do we now have a timetable from Jerry Jones on Tony Romo? Skip, who knows Jerry best, claims this is a clear game of poker. Shannon, were you running a little late today?
I just made it, got mic'd up and everything with about 2 minutes to spare. Someone, well, I'm not going to put it out there. We're going to keep, family, we don't air dirty laundry.
Well, I think you just said he just tried to sabotage you.
But I'm not going to say what.
What are you claiming he tried to do?
I have no idea what this means.
You know.
No, I have none. Okay. Somebody was late and somebody wasn't late. Period.
Oh, really? So that's what you do now, Skip?
But I'm almost always late. So.
So you put me on blast early this
Well,
morning.
we all made it, so that's the important part. We're joined now by Lonzo Ball and LaVar Ball. Welcome to Undisputed.
Good morning, good morning.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You got to get that Doritos.
Hey, Joy, this about to be good.
Oh, this is like get your popcorn ready?
Now, here's the problem with this bit that you're doing. It's
I thought you didn't
killing
eat
you
fried
that you're
food.
eating those chips, and now you're going to have to do another workout later.
It's going to be good.
Hey,
It's going to be good tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen. He's going to be hobbling in here tomorrow. Welcome. TMZ reported yesterday that you're shopping out around a reality show about your family. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. All this going on, you got to make something about it. Yes, you're going to see something soon.
There's a lot going on.
Yes. Just some people want to see that, and we real about it, so I don't have to fake nothing. That's
Have
the
you
good
had
thing.
this in mind for a while, or did this just arise?
This just arrived.
Yeah.
I think people want to see it, but it's natural for me, so it's not a big thing. If you want to follow us, fine. If you don't, fine. But I think it's a hell of a story.
It is
The fact that you have to watch and see if my boy's going to be as successful as I'm talking about him.
Okay, so this son was not as successful as you had hoped last Friday night in Memphis. But let me get this straight. I know it's a little delicate to talk about. You were not able to go. Neither of your younger sons were able to attend, correct?
Right.
Okay. Your wife has gone through what sounds like a pretty serious health issue.
Yes, but I don't broadcast it like that.
Okay, I got it.
That's my girl. I deal with it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay. But this young man had to play a big basketball game without his family there. And I have defended you, and I need you to feed back to me here. Was it somewhat of a distraction for you that they weren't there and your heart and mind could have been with your mom on that night to a certain extent?
I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Obviously, I would like to be with my family, but at the same time, I knew it was a big game. I knew I had to come to play, and obviously I didn't, and that's why we lost. Because
in the second half, you disengaged to me when I thought you would get more aggressive the way you did in the second half against Cincinnati. You just took the game over. What was running through your head?
Yeah, I wanted to. That's how I usually play. To let the first half come to me and then do what I have to do the second half. Unfortunately, I didn't get going, and we took the L.
Your thoughts on the distraction level that he went through?
Well, the distraction, like I said, here's the thing. Things happen, and you still got to go ahead and do what you got to do. So I'm not going to let him be like, you know what you going to do sitting here with us? Nothing. Go do what you're supposed to do. And by him having faith in me, I got your mom. So I tell my boys, don't worry about that. I got her. That's my girl. I got her. So you don't have to worry about that. Go and do what you're going to do. She'll be all right.
But she is their mom.
Yes, and it's always going to be their mom. But like I told them before, they understand. If I say I got her, they trusted me like, man, I can go ahead and do what I got to do. My dad said he got her.
Okay.
So that's how we
How
are.
disappointed were you in his second half?
I wasn't disappointed in him at all. Every time I watch my son play, it's a joy, whether he does good or bad, on the fact that it's just entertainment. and it's going to go on to the next day.
Did you talk about the lack of aggression in the second half?
Well, definitely, because every game you can learn something from it. And, and that's what he's doing. He's learning. He wants to be the greatest player ever. I got 3 boys thinking like that. So you learn from this and keep going.
But his greatness is different because it's unselfish greatness, where his goal, to me, is you want to make everybody better, right? That you want to run the show, but to a fault, you're going to be unselfish. So he at some point, you have to be a little more selfish. Is that fair to?
That's fair to say, and that's the fine line that's going to say Lonzo has to grow more. He's only 19. He going to figure it out. Because everywhere he goes to the top.
He has. So
like the high school. 4 years, finally got a state title. I told him, whenever you go to UCLA, you got to have championship pedigree. So if you don't win a state title, you're just another good player. So they don't even have confidence in you winning the championship because you don't have championship pedigree. Now, it took him 4 years to do that. Imagine if he stayed 4 years at UCLA. See, but I don't want him to be known as the best college player.
Nope.
I want him to be known as the best player ever. So you got to go to that next level as quick as possible and start working on it.
You have set his bar high at the next level.
Yes, you have to.
There are a lot of players who are going to say, can't wait for my first shot at this young man, right?
And here's the thing, too. Take your first shot at him, but you don't think he's coming back, you out of your mind. Because like I said, he was the best high school player. He became the best college player. He's not going to get to the pros where he's 100% in, then all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm cool being average. He wants the top spot, and that's why I told him to be chasing Michael Jordan since he was a baby.
Lonzo,
you don't have to wait till he gets to the
cool with
league.
that target that he painted on your back?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. He's been like this my whole life. I tell everybody that, so it's nothing new to me.
He has confidence, but he's outwardly with it. Do you have his kind of confidence and you just like, I'm just going to go, I don't need to talk like my dad. I'm just going to go do what I do?
Of course. I like to prove it on the court. I don't really say too much. I let my actions do the talking.
LaVar, we had some great conversations off air. And I said, I'm not going to tell you because I think you've done a great job of raising your boy. And I don't have a problem. I mean, you writing checks that he has to cash and the other 2 got to cash. Got no problem with that. But then this is where you lost me. You talk about you could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one.
I already told you that. He is too light. This game is not played one-on-one. You know why it ain't played one-on-one? Because I'd be the champ of the world if it was.
That's why. Hold on.
I've been fitted one-on-one.
Lonzo. I mean, I know that's your dad. You love him. You gonna ride with him.
So you already know what I'm gonna say then.
Oh, you already know. You already know.
Hold on. Okay, how about this?
Michael Jordan is not a one-on-one player.
He's the best one-on-one player.
He got screens. He got help. He got
LaVar,
people
I've
doing all
seen
that.
him play one-on-one, and I've seen him
You ain't
destroy
seen me
people.
play one-on-one.
I have not seen you play one-on-one. And again, if it's unrefereed and you can call every foul you want to
all he can do is foul me to stop me.
Yeah.
He can't stop me just jumping.
Well, I'm coming over to your house in the backyard. I ain't played in 25 years. You ain't played in 25 years. I think it'll be a great matchup. We're going to put that on the show.
I'll kill you right now with a bad leg.
LaVar.
Because I don't think you that good. You might be able to block me on the tight end move or something like that. But after the spin move and the jump hook, you'd be like, man, I don't want to ever play basketball again.
You live in Chino Hills, I'm gonna throw it to Santa Barbara. As soon as you throw that
Santa Barbara, man, I hit you with a jump hook. And then after the first 5 times, I don't let you get in the paint. You're going to be like, man, I ain't playing no more.
I fear that punches would be right?
We're too much alike. He don't like to lose, I don't like to lose.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
There's going to be a lot of trash talking going on in
the whole time.
Have you 2 played one-on-one out in the driveway?
No.
No?
We can't.
No?
Here's the thing. We cannot play one-on-one because I don't want to kill him. I go to my, man.
You go to your go-to move?
Go-to move. If he go up, and what I'm going to do? If I swing at the ball and miss and break his collarbone, now, no career, no nothing. I might forget he my son and just go crazy on him. I ain't going to do that for nothing. The stakes is too high.
Buying this?
No, he's right. He cheats. So
And he cheats.
Hey, that's because he be fouling me, though. He don't think them are fouls.
Ah.
I ain't cheating. I'll be like, man, give me the ball.
You call it ticky-tacks?
yeah, he be calling little touch fouls.
Ticky-tacks. What be trying to kill me?
Foul. My ball. It's a foul.
He 180, 185?
190.
190. You 255, you gonna talk about this man fouling you.
A foul is a foul. Just because he lightweight don't mean it don't count.
You Shaq, and that's Chris Paul, and you gonna talk, and you call it a foul.
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 So, LaVar, you have been hard on your current high school coach, and now you're saying that your youngest son, you don't want him to play for that coach next year.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that.
So is he out, or are you going to transfer? Well, how are you going to do it?
Hey, me and my boys, they built Chino Hills. He knew what he was in from the beginning. Here's what people don't know, that I trained him when he was 13, taught him how to shoot, the coach.
The coach.
I've been feeding him for the last couple of years. Coming to the house, he can't come to the house no more.
Come on, LaVar.
Yes.
That's too
I'm feeding
much.
breakfast, dinner.
That's too much,
He
though.
already knew what he was coming into. We went 35-0 doing it with the pressing and the
How
trapping.
did he change? Just on that?
He all of
on
a sudden
defense?
changed on, thought he was bigger than the program. Now he's like, hey, don't come at me, don't talk to me like this. His
What
head just went
strategy did
big.
he change that helped lose the playoff game?
Well, we've always double teamed everything to speed up the game. Now you telling guys, and he said the Cardinal saying, he told my boys, don't let your dad get in your head, listen to me. Whoa, wait a minute. I've been taking care of my boys all this time. He just went rogue and started doing a whole bunch of different things. Like he said, he cut off the ties that we had with Adidas, talking about, oh yeah, we got Nike with his guys. And then found out we didn't have Nike, so then he said, oh, my other guys had Under Armour. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And then the last minute, you got to come back to me to talk to the Adidas guys to get us back with Adidas. But he's doing a lot of things behind the scenes that folks is like, the last game we lost to Modern Day, he comes straight out and cussed my sons out. Personally, blaming it on Melo, talking about you lost the MF game for us because you're shooting too much and not passing. Well, my other son got to come in now and say, well, wait a minute, we'd never be here without Melo. And then after that, he tried to come back to me the next day talking about he was caught in the moment. No, you're not.
Look, LaVar, but here, okay. Let's just say everything because he has his side, you have your side.
Right.
Don't you think you could have handled that behind the closed doors?
It was supposed to be handled behind closed doors till he started ripping off at the mouth like that. He was in a good situation. How do you get to be a young guy, never had a coaching job in your life, and you don't think I got that for you? On the fact that I said, you know what? I'm not going to let anybody just come in here and try to make a name. You already know the system we running.
Right.
My boys are comfortable with you.
Right.
But when you start acting a different way, my boys look at you and you say my boys are disrespectful? I said, find one teacher that said that. And everybody on the outside was like, what is wrong with that guy? Something is wrong with him. He's bipolar or something. I don't know.
But here's the thing, though, LaVar. If you did this, get him the job out of the kindness of your heart.
Right.
Should you throw that up in his face and says, I got you the job?
I never threw that up in his face. He threw it up in my face and said, you didn't get me the job. My wife wrote his resume. We helped him with everything.
Allah, stop putting the man business on the street.
I'm going to put it on the street because, first of all, you talk to USA Today and you want to go crazy on me? Wait a minute. I ain't never did nothing but try to help you, to give you some guidance, because you don't get to be a coach of a #1 team with the ball boys with no credibility. How's that happen? And you're young.
So, LaVar, let's take it to the next level. He's going to get drafted by somebody.
Yes.
How much input in the coaching will you want at
I'm
that
not
next
going to have
level?
any input on that. Lonzo's his own man. You guys, I didn't mess with Steve Alford or nobody. I'm not up there every day talking about, man, you better play my son, you better play this way. I never did that. On Lonzo, you know what you're getting from him now. So if you want this type of player and you guys take him, the relationship is between, I told my son this, when you get a coach and you really want to play for him, man, that's the best feeling ever.
Absolutely.
That's the best feeling ever. And he got your back. And that's the thing. When you're playing for a certain coach and he has your back and he gives you the opportunity to do what you do, that's the best thing in the world as opposed to like, oh, I just got to go and play for this coach just because he's there.
Well, how you going to do the reality show if he's on the East Coast?
What, with him?
Yeah.
Lonzo got to do his thing. If I'm on the East Coast, West Coast, wherever he at, if they want a reality, come see me.
No mercy. Hey guys, it's Joy Taylor. We have some more debates coming up, but first, Shannon wants to tell you about this great offer from T-Mobile.
Opening day for Major League Baseball is just around the corner, and T-Mobile is giving away a free year of MLB TV so you can catch every game no matter where you are. Will the Cubs repeat? Will Bryce Harper regain his MVP form? Can the Indians snap the longest World Series drought with no titles? Here's what you need to do. Make T-Mobile your phone provider. Download the T-Mobile Tuesday app, and on April 4th, you'll get a free year of MLB TV Premium. Remember, April 4th, get your free year of MLB TV Premium through the T-Mobile Tuesday app or go to T-Mobile.com/MLB. Some legal disclaimers here. The top 3% of data users may notice reduced speeds. Also, you must activate the HD feature, otherwise video typically streams at 480p. Web-enabled mobile devices and qualifying services required. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Blackouts and other restrictions apply. See terms of use for details. Great, Shannon. Again, that's T-Mobile on April 4th. I know this is a great thing for someone like me who lives in LA to still be able to catch all the Marlins games. Now back to the show. No mercy. Welcome back. We're joined now by Super Bowl champ and two-time Pro Bowl defensive lineman from the Seattle Seahawks, Michael Bennett. Welcome to Undisputed.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You can be nice to my partner.
I'm nice to everybody. Everybody knows I'm a nice human being.
You are.
He was nice.
I was
nice.
I just.
He said, I tweeted something. He said he didn't like it.
He had to keep it real. That's what we do around here.
I gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it real, man.
Hey, I loved it.
Yeah. He over the key.
Of course. Well, Michael, let's talk about a quarterback that you faced a number of times over the last few years. Colin Kaepernick still hasn't been signed. Reports said Kaepernick might be getting blackballed because of his anthem protest. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh had a strong response yesterday to the speculation. Let's take a listen.
It seems like Colin Kaepernick, you don't think he is being, quote, blackballed because you believe that he will get an opportunity.
Yeah, well, I would never use just a generic, stupid term like that to describe a more complicated type of a situation. No, I mean, I'm just generally speaking. I just think it's too easy. It's intellectually lazy. To me, that I think it's more nuanced. And I do think that people are. I absolutely think he's going to get signed. I think he'll probably be starting somewhere next year, some point in time during the season. And I agree with Jim. I think he'll be winning games for people. So, and because he can win games for people, I think he's going to be playing for somebody.
Michael, do you think Kaepernick is being blackballed?
Of course, I think he's being blackballed in a certain type of way because if you look at the quarterbacks that's been signed, Josh McCown. I mean, this guy has never thrown him for over 2,600 yards, and he's a good quarterback. But, this guy's been to the NFC Championships, been to the Super Bowl, came back in that Green Bay game, they won all those games on the road to go to the Super Bowl. So for a guy like him not to be signed, you got Chase Daniels. I don't think he's ever thrown over 450 yards. This guy, guys like that with jobs, so it has to be something. If it's not it can't be a skill level because really he was 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions last year. You look at Blake Bortles, he was just average last year.
Or worse.
Andrew Luck, he was good. They didn't win a lot of games, So Drew Brees hasn't been to the playoffs in a couple of years. It's like a whole bunch of quarterbacks that are in a position, and Kaepernick has played good football. And for him not to have a job, you have to think that he's being blackballed.
So go deeper. Why? What's your gut tell you?
I think it has to do with, I think the knee. I think a lot of it comes with people come with all the things that happen with the knee. Taking a knee, I think it rubs some people the wrong way. I think because of that, it has a lot of backlash on it because of what he did. I think there were some people that agreed with him and some people that didn't agree with him. I think people believe that there's no place for politics in sports, and because of that, he's suffering from that. But I think ultimately he probably will have a job when it comes to the end.
Do you find the irony that people are mad that he took a knee, but they don't seem to be disappointed or upset the reasons why he took the knee?
I think because people never really got into the conversation with him. If you really look at what he's doing right now, he's donating money to different causes around America. He's actually doing organic work where he's in the community. He's all up in sending planes to Somalia.
50,000 to Meals on Wheels.
He's a good leader. He's doing great things. I think people just took that knee and they just looked at it and they thought it was just against the armed services, but he was standing against what the injustices of America, which a lot of people agree that there's so many social injustices going on in America. But for him to take that knee, a lot of people were appalled by it. They were just like, I can't believe he's doing this for the national anthem.
Are you surprised that so many in our community came out so strong against him?
I think I thought more people were behind him. I think he had the highest selling jersey, so obviously people supported what he was doing. They knew that he had a good cause and a good heart. But I think there was a certain part of the media that do what media do. They play both sides of the fence. And there was some people that built it up as being a good thing. There were some people that built it up as being a negative thing, and they overflow sometimes.
So they painted the distraction as Colin Kaepernick is a terrible person.
Yeah.
Although he didn't get arrested, he's never been an abuser, he's had drugs or alcohol. They're saying he's a distraction because he protested what he felt was injustice against black men and women being killed unarmed by police officers.
And there's a couple quarterbacks in the NFL that's been accused of certain incidents in bathrooms, and we won't bring it up.
Right.
And people let that go.
That's true.
You know, so let's not say that there's players in the NFL that have been accused of certain things and still have jobs and still be some of the highest paid people at those positions. And, you know, so for what he did, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I think the other things that people have done have been bigger deals. They've been offensive to women. They've been offensive to children. They've been offensive to, you know, all kinds of things. And for them not to be able to have him not to have a job, you have to think that he's being blackballed.
But just to be clear, when you go to the extreme term of blackballed, you're suggesting that 32 owners colluded on, let's say, a conference call, and they all agreed on the conference call, nobody is going to sign that guy. And it doesn't work quite like that. It's not that overt, if you will.
Yeah.
It's covert. It's sort of between the lines, under the surface.
I'm not signing him. You?
Yeah. That
I mean, they don't have to agree not to sign him, but there's obviously they agreed by not signing him. It's one of those things where the writing's on the wall, and you see it every day. You see when guys do certain things in the NFL, they end up not having a job. This is not the NBA where, you know, speaking out is allowed, being yourself is allowed. This is the NFL. The shield comes first, and everybody knows that in the NFL, and the NFL is going to keep doing that. That's why they make so much money.
You've spoken out a lot on a lot of different issues. Have you felt any backlash that we might not know about? Do you feel like it's hurt you in any way?
I think it hurts you when it comes to like marketing dollars, because I believe that, you know, brands want to be able to straddle the fence. They never want to go pick one side. And when you have a guy that's on a certain side and agreeing on a certain topic in it, when it comes to certain things, they don't want to cross that line, because at the end of the day, it's about the dollars and cents. And when it comes to that, I think when you speak out, that's where you really get affected by your pocket, by the brands. Sometimes because you're a great player, the team they'll keep you around, but it's the other things that are involved that you might not be able to do.
Straddle the fence and not alienate any one side.
Yeah, you can't alienate on one side, because if you selling something, everybody has money at the end of the day. It's like, you know, that money that's coming from your hand and is buying a product, and we want you to buy a product. And if that person doesn't, you know, do what they need to do, they speak up too much, and you think it's going to drop the bottom line, then we can't support what he's doing.
So when this all began pre-free agency, I don't know how many jobs were available for quarterbacks. I don't know, 6, 8, 10 jobs. And yet, among those 10, you would have to take it to John Harbaugh's point. It gets more complicated, because you'd have to go franchise by franchise, owner by owner, owner's wife by owner's wife. How offended were they over the stance that Colin took? Whether it's just anti-American in their eyes or whatever it is. Maybe it gets to a racial point of view where they're somehow offended by it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to eliminate that job, and maybe that job, and this job's, they're kind of 40, 60 over here.
Yeah.
So it gets complex. It gets, as John said, it gets nuanced until there's one team that says, hey, we like to win here. And maybe we don't have a better alternative, because, again, to reiterate, this man came within one controversial play of winning the Super Bowl as a quarterback, and then the next year he came with one slightly underthrown pass, came within that of getting back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's be honest. There's only like 8 teams in the NFL that's really really trying to win. You know, there's the same 8 teams every year. A lot of teams aren't trying to win. They're trying to sell jerseys, build new stadiums, build a new fan base. At the bottom line, there's only a couple teams that are trying to win. We can name those. And every year, those are the same teams that are playing for this.
Unless they somehow get lucky.
Well,
you know,
unless they get lucky.
Have one of those 1,000,000 to 1 shot.
Unless they just have a weak schedule, and then they end up, you know, playing the AFC South or something. You know?
Well, Michael, because here's the thing. Because you're not rewarded for losing.
Yeah.
If I'm Jacksonville and I'm gonna get $250 million, whether I win 10 games or I win 3, the same as the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl. So again, tell me what's my incentive, Skip? I'm getting $250 regardless. Now, when I sell tickets, when I sell the broadcast rights locally, the sponsorship, concession, that's even more.
Okay, your incentive is you have a huge ego, and you would like to be able to go to that owner's meeting and strut your stuff and
strut your stuff when you land on your private plane.
To
get your yacht.
Guess what my ego says? I'm one of 32.
I'm one of 32.
I'm one of 32. Now, Jerry Jones wants to win. Mr. Kraft wants to win. There's, like as I said, there's a certain group that wants to win, and they will spare no cost.
No.
But come on, Jacksonville. Come on, Cincinnati. Cleveland. Really?
Really?
You firing a coach every other year. You're not trying to win because you're not building continuity. You're not building a foundation or stability. So there's no incentive. You're not incentive. See, when they put incentives in your contract, it says, okay, if you make this weight, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars. Well, they're not going to put that weight in his contract because they know he already determined because there's something in it. But there's nothing in I'm going to get $250 million, and if I win 4 games.
I hear you. Jimmy Johnson, when he was coach of the Cowboys, used to tell me that same thing. There are only about 8 teams that really, really want to win. And I would say, well, wait a second. You've got 3 in your division, and I'm pretty sure the Redskins and the Giants and the Eagles really, really want to win. I think. I might be missing the boat here, but they sure look like to me. So that's just one division. So I think it's more than 8. That's just
I don't
me.
think it's more than 8.
No?
Skip. I don't think it's more. There's a team every year. There's the same teams that's playing for the same spots. Those are teams that put money into their system.
Denver, Kansas City. Do you think Oakland wants to win? They look like
Oakland wants to win.
Okay. All right. Now we're up to 7. Now there's just
we're just saying.
What you think Philly want to win when they hired Chip Kelly?
I think the owner wants to win. I don't know. Do you think he said, I'm going to hire Chip Kelly just so we'll lose?
But they wanted to try something new. Everybody wants to try
to
to
he was the new flavor from college football. I don't know.
We smash that offense every time, Chip.
Well,
don't run that offense again against us, Chip. If you ever get a job.
Well, hey, he's not upset because think about it. He signed a 5-year deal, lasted 1 year. So if he doesn't coach anymore, he's still going to be drawing $6 million a year for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Well, like you mentioned, the NBA is different than the NFL. The NFL is about the shield, and that's a brand, and brands don't want to pick a side. They want to straddle the line.
NBA is
well,
about players.
The NFL is about the brand. It's about the shield.
The
it's a different situation. So when it comes to Kaepernick, if you've signed Kaepernick, you are making a statement whether you want to or not because it's so polarizing.
Last point. Let's flip this around. Do you think the commissioner is starting to feel any pressure to get somebody or encourage somebody to sign Colin Kaepernick?
I think the commissioner is worried about Las Vegas. He's worried about how to build this brand, how to make this NFL global. That's what they're talking about. That's the most important thing. Games in London. One day they'll build game in China.
So you don't think it would just be a really bad look for the NFL if Colin's sitting on the sideline?
They just took a team in the middle of the night, just moved them to Vegas. They took another team, moved them from San Diego to LA. They were about making global moves right now. They changed them.
They'll sign him. It might be a situation where we get like the Michael Sam situation. All of a sudden, where nobody drafted Michael Sam, and it just so happens the team right down the road took Michael Sam.
Yeah.
Michael Sam, he couldn't play.
Well, we'll wait and see. Well, we know that Kaepernick can play, so we'll find out.
No mercy.
The Warriors won their 8th straight game last night after beating the Rockets on the road. Steph Curry had a game-high 32 points in the win. The Warriors continue their Texas road trip in San Antonio tonight. We're joined by Chris Broussard. Chris, are the Warriors clearly the best team in the NBA right now?
Well, they're the best team, but I think San Antonio is close. I hope we get a game tonight. I don't know if everybody's playing. I don't know if it's been
Whoa. I thought all this talk about rested players and somebody might sit out?
Look, I hope we get a game.
Golden State or San Antonio?
Yeah, either one. I
don't know.
We might get a bunch of reserves.
After the game, we're going
he said he's
full
playing?
tilt.
Okay,
we're going to go try to win this game.
Good. I'm going to pull one out of your hat, Skip, and I'm going to say I've been right about this team all year.
Okay.
All right. I feel good about picking them to win it all. A while ago, 3 weeks ago, when everybody thought the sky was falling and they were in trouble and there's turmoil and Draymond's an issue, I said, don't worry about it. When everybody said, oh, they can't win without KD, I said, give them time. There's an adjustment period. And right now, they look like the team that won 73 games last year.
Yep.
Steph Curry, people have slept on him. He still is the same player he was last year. But when you bring in a 30-point scorer, you're not going to do what you did last year.
Correct.
And so they look great. I've got great confidence in them winning it all. I do give San Antonio a shot because they have 2 areas that I wouldn't say that Golden State lacks, but that could be their kryptonite. One is inside punch, okay, with Gasol and with Aldridge. And 2 is toughness. They're a very tough team, the Spurs. And they're going to be physical with Golden State and get Steph off of his path when he's running off screens and stuff. So I give them a shot, but I definitely think Golden State is the best team. One thing is when they get Durant back, it'll be another adjustment period. So they got to hope they get him back with a few games left in the regular season so that they can adjust by the time they get to the playoffs.
I still believe no KD, no jewelry, Now,
Well, he's coming back.
But
There's
here-
no question about that.
Are they the best team right now without KD? I would say San Antonio is slightly better than them without KD. KD comes back to the mix, Golden State's the better team. And the difference in what they're doing right now, Skip, is that, as Chris said, they're readjusting to playing without Kevin because they played 2 years without Kevin. They integrated him into their system. They're used to playing with him. Now he goes down for a month. Now it's going to take some time to get back used to playing the way we played without him. But Steph Curry in this 8-game winning streak, 25 points a game, 48% shooting from the field, 43% from 3, and 8 assists. He's Steph Curry.
If he can stay on that 3-point
pace, you know
when
what?
Durant gets back?
The guy, you know what? And Draymond is the glue. He's going to do all the dirty work. He's going to get the charges. He's going to get everybody pumped up. But don't sleep. Klay Thompson is really the guy. Klay Thompson can heat up. I would rather Steph get hot than Klay because Klay can go get 33, 37, get almost 60. When you can score 60 points in 29 minutes, that's the last guy you want to get hot. But Steph Curry is being Steph Curry again. He was playing with that swag. He was shooting the ball, turning and running, pulled up in Clint Capella's face from 28. I'm back. It's going to be a very good game tonight. You know what? For the first time, I'm going to watch a Spurs game from start to finish because it's just like getting a 5-year-old to eat asparagus. I don't want this.
Really? It takes someone who knows and appreciates basketball to love the San Antonio Spurs. So I guess that eliminates you from the conversation.
I'm watching this more because I'm watching the Warriors. I want to see them drain like 43s on them.
To me, when Patty and Ginobili come in with the second unit, it's as exciting a basketball as I see, and I watch everything every night. But just tonight, maybe you should check out what happens when the second unit comes in. Because with Gasol shooting three-pointers, which is his new forte now, and Patty and Manu just throwing crazy passes all over the floor and shooting threes like crazy, it is a blast to watch. Now, back to the question. I'm going to go, had to use this as a paperweight. I'm going to go big picture, rock, paper, scissors for you, because this is how I look at the biggest picture right now. I still think the Cavs have the psychological advantage over Golden State. What happened on Christmas Day? I think that could happen again if they do get back both teams to the finals. Okay. Because there's just something going on there. I thought LeBron should have closed them out 2 years ago without Kevin Love and Kyrie. He had them on the ropes and on the run. Okay. There's something about the way they can defend that team. They just get it, and they get physical with them. Again, they haven't been playing any defense, but they're capable because I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Last year, they got really physical with Steph and Klay, especially Steph, and I know he was a little gimpy on his knee, but they just took those guys out of what they like to do, and I was impressed. But I also think this. If somehow the Spurs get to the finals, I would love them over Cleveland because I think the Spurs have Cleveland's number. But big picture now, back to the original question. At this moment, I cannot say that San Antonio could beat Golden State in a 7-game conference if it's the finals or whatever it is.
Without Kevin Durant?
What is it that worries you for the Spurs?
The big X factor now in the whole big picture is one, Kevin Durant. We're not talking about adding Kevin Smith back into the rotation. Right. We're talking about Kevin Durant.
MVP.
He's an MVP, and they were having a hard time with him, even though they had huge firepower, figuring out their late game pecking order. And it bit them in Cleveland on Christmas Day. Whose turn is it? Are you going to do it or am I going to do it? And they didn't know. And all of a sudden they had a 14-point lead and they couldn't close the deal. Remember that with 8 minutes left? And finally Kyrie said, enough of this, and he ended.
He dusted that cape off.
He did. Okay, maybe he wore the cape then, right?
Braun!
It's actually his cape to start with, but that's okay. So on the Spurs, they're getting a little better and a little better. I still don't love them defending perimeter players. They have a hard time with Portland because those two guys can light it up. Right. And I'm going to tell you again, Nurkic is becoming a star.
He was great last night.
Hey, he was
They
big
just
time.
have to figure out how to incorporate him with the two guards.
So they scare me in the playoffs for a San Antonio matchup because San Antonio doesn't have point guard defender types. So they'll have a hard time with Steph.
I don't think the Spurs will get them, though.
Okay.
Because it's Portland's 8 right now. So
okay, well, whatever. But I'm saying that's the kind of team who went into San Antonio, just 2 weeks ago and beat them soundly, I thought. You know, it was just like, wow, that Nurkic guy is just too good.
So do you think Golden State can beat San Antonio tonight without Kevin Durant?
They have refound their 73-win rhythm.
Okay.
And I didn't think the Spurs could deal with them last year. So I would give them a slight edge without Kevin Durant. But if you throw Kevin back in, I think I got a better chance with Kevin.
I want
San Antonio.
I want the Spurs.
Well,
Because of the chemistry issue of how do you do it?
I think that's a great point, and I think that's what the league, whether it's Cleveland or San Antonio,
Yep.
they have to hope that there are chemistry
There's
issues.
some
Not
issue,
that guys
right.
aren't getting along,
No.
but just that it's
just
hard
doesn't
to work
click
it out.
because you've taken him out of the meat of the schedule
Yeah.
here, and all of a sudden you're just going to throw him back in for the playoffs, and he's not quite right yet. If everything I read,
He may
was true.
not be fully
Yeah,
right
that's
when
what
he
I'm
comes
saying.
back.
Yeah.
They look just as good right now
Oh, do
without
they?
as they ever looked with him.
Hey, that was a showcase last night.
I'll
in
take the
Houston.
Spurs. I'll take the Spurs for some due tonight.
I'm
take
not
Golden
doing
State.
it. I don't trust it.
Golden State
I don't
needs to
trust
beat
it.
them.
Scared? What you mean you don't?
They need to
I
beat
got-
them.
trust
That
it.
sounds like he's trying to jinx
I got
him.
the
I
Spurs.
know. Okay, you can have them.
You got Golden State
He really got the
for a 2-liter due.
I love this.
For 2-liter to do.
Nope.
Why
I
do
don't
you guys
trust
do
it.
anyway? You don't
Okay, well, I'll
agree.
I
take
don't
Golden
trust
State.
it. Golden State is playing at a little higher
Well,
level
then why would
right
you
now.
take them?
I'm not going to take them. I'm
The
sorry.
Spurs, after what they just did to Cleveland,
Yeah, scared.
Hey,
that's a high
You know
level.
what? Cleveland did it to Cleveland. And did you see what my starters shot from the three-point line in the Cleveland game? They were 1 for 14 were my starters.
Well-
I was 0 for 7, and Danny Green was 1 for 6, and you're saying take them against those guys? I'm not going to do it yet.
I
Yet.
said, no, I said I'll give you Golden State tonight. I'll take the Spurs in tonight's game.
Oh, you got the Spurs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bet due against my own team. Why would I
Well,
do
okay,
that?
well, I'll take Golden State.
Well, what do you
Well, that's
do?
a lot of conviction. No mercy. Tony Romo's future with the Cowboys is still up in the air, but yesterday Jerry Jones said a decision will likely come before training camp. Jones also said he and Romo have spoken recently. Let's take a listen.
There is a kind of a menu or several alternatives that Tony has. In that sense, as much as we look at this as a important time for Tony, he's got some great options. I'm completely satisfied with how he's doing, and I have no reason to believe he's not satisfied with how I'm doing. But I feel good about how we're doing. We're being the Cowboys, me, Tony. I feel very good about it.
Oh, Jerry.
Oh, Jerry.
Skip that. Skip.
Yeah.
Get your boys.
Skip, what do you think of the Tony Romo situation now?
Here's what I think. To me, Jerry Jones finally came to his senses and said, heck with my do-right rule. And he realized there is no way he's going to give away Tony Romo to, let's say, the Houston Texans and risk having to watch Tony Romo win a Super Bowl, maybe against all odds, but risk somewhat that Tony Romo would win a Super Bowl for the Houston Texans and he would get nothing back in the way of trade or anything else. So now I think that Jerry is playing two new games of poker. One is the draft pick poker that he continues to play with Houston and Denver and anybody else who might be interested, the Jets and Tony Romo, in which he wants not only a draft pick, he wants a substantial draft pick in return for Tony Romo. But he's also now playing a one-on-one game of poker with one Tony Romo because, from what I hear, a new option has presented itself. And it is a supreme option. It is a premier TV gig that would be very difficult for most ex-players to turn down. I'm talking about the kind of plum job that comes along, I don't know, once every 10 years.
Exactly.
All right?
That's
So, obviously, if Romo isn't going to be a Dallas Cowboy this coming football season, what would Jerry greatly prefer? That he be on no other pro football team, that he would become a commentator.
Yep.
So I think Jerry is speaking now again. They've sort of mended a little bit of the fence that got broken down when Tony prematurely released the news or leaked the news that he was going to be released. And Jerry's now subtly, maybe not even subtly, but encouraging Tony to kind of wake up and come to grips with reality here. You're beat up. Maybe you won't be able to last a whole year. Do you want to have to go through another surgery to get right again? Do you want to be able to play with your kids, Tony? I'm sure this speech has come from Jerry.
Yep.
Tony, you got 3 kids now because one's on the way. 3 young kids. boy, this would be a great job to have because you don't have to work that hard at this job, right?
Right.
It just happens on the weekends during football season.
Watch a little game film.
You can pull it off.
Yep.
It's not too taxing. And he's hoping that this would be the greatest relief to Jerry that Tony finally said, you know what, I give up. I'm a TV guy now. Now, one option that I know is still on the table, and it scares me to death, and you know what it is, that there's still, if Tony insists that he's still got a Super Bowl in him, that Jerry would say, okay, we've got to renegotiate down your deal. And the best I can promise you is that you could go to camp and at least compete with Dak Prescott. But the odds might be that you're going to wind up being our backup quarterback next year. Can you live with that if you don't win the job in the preseason games? And I don't know what Tony would say to that. I don't know if he could swallow enough pride to do that.
That's
well,
what he gonna
we'll
say.
see. But the best option, the best outcome and solution for all involved, Jerry, Tony, the rest of the team, Dak, would be for Tony to take the TV gig and be out from under everybody's, out of everybody's hair.
No, Skip.
Yeah.
That's the best for Jerry. That's not the best. Jerry just told Tony, you got two choices. You can play here as a backup or the lower salary, or you can retire.
That's
now,
correct.
it's being reported that Jerry would not ask for any of the signing bonus back. He says, Tony has a lot of options. No, he don't. He's still under contract by you. He doesn't have any options.
He's got two, like you said. That's what he has, two.
Well, actually, he has one. He can retire. He has two. He can take a less salary and be the backup, or he can retire. Jerry is saying, Tony, retire, because I'm not going to give you away. Even though I know you're brittle, I know you're frail, the likelihood of you lasting an entire season isn't very good.
No.
But just for the sake, you have one of those magical 2014 seasons again in 2017, and you take the Houston Texans somewhere you didn't take us.
It'd be horrendous. That's Jerry's worst nightmare.
Yes!
Really.
So he's like, Tony has a lot of options. The only way Tony has a lot of options is for Jerry to release him. Then Tony can see does he have 20 options? How many teams are sincerely interested in Tony Romo? Does he want to do TV? That's the thing. And like you said, Skip, these jobs don't come along very often. And so the thing I would tell Tony Romo is you get too old to play football, you don't get too old to talk. So think about that long and hard. But if his heart, Skip, is into playing, don't do it. Don't take it, because you're going to look back and say, man, I could have played. I could have helped the team get somewhere maybe they haven't got before. And and if he were to do that, if he were to retire, and then he has second regret, you know who he's going to hold it against.
Okay.
But Skip, see, Jerry started out saying we had a do-right rule, Skip. And now all of a sudden we come to find out Jerry's do-right rule was, Tony, I need you to do right by Jerry, and Jerry's going to do right by Jerry. It was never.
It sounded good.
It did, Skip. I was like, man, Skip, you heard Jerry? Jerry says, I'm going to let you go.
Right.
Just don't go to Washington, and everything's going to be good.
Because he risked this once before with a coach that he fired named Jimmy Johnson, because he risked putting him out on the street and allowing him to say, I think I'll go to the Miami Dolphins.
Right.
And he risked that Jimmy would go there and win 3 more Super Bowls, but it didn't happen, right?
Yep.
So if Jimmy had broken through with the Dolphins and won another Super Bowl, at least Jerry could say, yeah, but we got 2 from Jimmy here. So it'd be even Steven. But in this case, when you got nothing, you paid Romo all this money and you got nothing from him to show for it, and then he goes somewhere else, be it Denver or Houston would be the ultimate.
Now, if Tony had won him a Super Bowl, Skip, he could let him go.
Then you could say, I got it, but he didn't.
But guess what Tony's figuring out right now, Skip? I'm not Jerry's son after all. Because at the end of the day, these big bosses, they're going to do what's best for them.
Well, he was his son as long as it made Jerry look good, because Jerry liked to be out in public with Tony Romo Jones, rubbing elbows.
Now Tony ain't going to go to none of his nephews' ball games anymore. But Skip, at the end of the day, this man didn't become wealthy beyond his wildest imaginations by paying a guy $19 million when you can get the same product for $500,000.
That's correct.
Because that's what Dak's salary is, about $560,000.
Yep.
You would have to pay Tony Romo $19+ million, 24.7 cap hit. Jerry's like, I love Tony. He's like I said, remember the Hall of Fame? Him and Tony met. It was like souls. It was different than owner. It was different than the owner coach.
That's what he said.
And when it came right down to it, Skip, you're like,
So only you can speak to the ultimate decision that Tony's going to have to make, and you just touched on it.
Yes.
Deep down in your gut, can you live with the fact that you didn't go back and try one more time?
Absolutely, Skip. Because here's the thing for me. I was a 7th round draft pick. I had all the tight end records, and I had 3 Super Bowls. So for me, let me ask you a question. For me, I felt even if I went back and won another Super Bowl, won another Pro Bowl, went to another Pro Bowl, I don't think that was going to change people's perception of me. Now, if Tony wins a Super Bowl, the whole dynamic for him changes.
It does.
That's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
He's thought of in a totally different light. So that's what he has to weigh against as opposed to what I had to weigh against. 14 years, I had accomplished everything. I know I had invested everything as far as training, as far as nutrition.
You had nothing left to prove.
Nothing. But Tony, and for quarterbacks, Super Bowls and quarterbacks are different than Super Bowls in any other position.
It is. But here's the irony. TV networks are treating Tony as a hallowed, beloved Dallas Cowboy franchise quarterback, even without the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's enough just to be a Cowboy quarterback for these many years, even though you have nothing to really show for.
Because hold on, Skip. Don Meredith, Troy Aikman. Woo, boy, 3 for 3.
Yep.
3 for 3, Skip.
Yep. And I don't really know Tony on TV. He doesn't do that many interviews, but they all swear by him that he's a quarterback savant, that he's a film studier, that he has, if you will, genius. He can see it and read it. And again, he has gunslinger genius because he's got that crazy haywire gene in him where he'll try anything at any time, but that he can speak what he sees, which is the essence of being able to do
Because that's the biggest.
TV commentary.
That's the biggest things those guys have to do is they have to watch tape.
They do.
Endlessly watching tape. And they have to have their broadcast partner because a lot of times he's going to have to set them up about something they saw in the past. So if Tony, and if this, but Skip, it's got to be in his heart, Skip. Because if it's not, Skip, I'm telling you how this, it might get worse. Because he's telling Tony, you're not going anywhere before training camp. So what team is going to want to take a quarterback, Skip, that didn't go through their OTAs?
It would have to be desperation.
Yes!
They had an injury early in camp or first preseason
So
game.
he just told Tony, you either retire or I'm going to make it very, very difficult for you to go anywhere else.
I
believe
realize that
that's it.
Jerry is a very proud man, but you can probably find a situation like this where a team has overpaid for someone and not gotten what they expected out of him, done every
But that's not
team in the
Jerry.
league.
But that's
I know
not-
it's not Jerry, but we treat the situation so differently because they have a personal relationship, but it's not different. There's a player on every franchise that has been overpaid and not delivered.
Jerry made it that. Jerry put Tony in that situation because most owners don't get that. Even the quarterback, Skip, there's a special relationship because at some point in time, Skip, guess what? We're going to have to
It's
divorce.
still a business,
Yes.
No mercy. Former Oklahoma running back Joe Mixon has been moving up draft boards and reportedly could go in the first round. Mixon has been at the center of controversy after a video surfaced of him hitting a woman back in 2014. At least 3 teams have taken Mixon off their board, but ESPN's draft analyst Mel Kiper had high praise for the running back. Kiper said on talent, he's the best running back in the draft. On talent and on ability, the kid averaged over 6 yards a carry in 9 games this year. He averaged almost 15 yards a catch. He had a 97-yard kickoff return against Ohio State. He's 228 pounds, and he ran a 4.43. He was a top kid coming out of high school. To me, he's a better back than Fournette on talent. Skip, do you agree with Kiper?
Shannon Sharpe. I said pretty much exactly the same thing the other day on this show, sitting in this seat while our friend Joel Klatt was sitting in that seat. And Joel looked at me like I had suddenly been possessed by the devil. What? Joe Mixon's the best back in the draft. Joel had him down at 37, 39th, whatever, in the 30s. So he'd have him in the
second round.
High second round. And look, In no way, shape, or form am I even remotely trying to defend what Joe Mixon did to that woman. But I will say this. He did pay every price he was asked to pay.
By the state of Oklahoma.
And by his school, by whoever else.
Yep.
And even by the NFL, he had to pay a small but significant price. They said, you cannot come to our combine. And yet, if I'm understanding this correctly, he is eminently draftable as we speak, right? You can draft him without punishment or further penalty, right? He's not going to be suspended next year, which would be almost like a double jeopardy situation where you'd have to pay for it again in the NFL. So the only hit that a team is going to take is the initial PR hit, and it could be severe and significant, and it could last a while, right? But if a team is willing to take that PR hit to draft this player, I'm going to say it again. I watched every snap he played at the University of Oklahoma because I was born and raised an OU fan, and I am here to tell you he is really, really good. He is, to me, the best all-around back in this draft. I know how much you love Christian McCaffrey, but if you look at the 40 times, his was a touch faster than Christian McCaffrey's.
But his was handheld, the other was electronic.
I don't know. I mean, you could be right about that. It could be, or it could, maybe it hurt Joe Mixon that it was handheld. I don't know. I just know he's really fast.
Yes.
He's right in there with Christian.
Yes.
He's not as quick as Christian is, but he is explosively fast.
Yes.
And if you want to talk about catching the football down the field, which Christian does because he's got a lot of that from his dad that you played with, Joe Mixon's not quite there as a downfield receiver, but he's close. He caught a whole bunch of 20 and 30-yard passes from Baker Mayfield like a wideout would catch them. And he can slash it and ram it between the tackles in ways Christian McCaffrey at the pro football level is not going to be able to do consistently because Joe Mixon's, I don't know, 20 more pounds?
Yeah, he's 228, and McCaffrey, I think, weighed 210.
206 or something like that? Okay, but whatever, 20-odd pounds
Yeah.
more. He's just a bigger, stronger man who can take the punishment, and he showed that he can endure the punishment when he was at the University of Oklahoma. So as an all-around back, he's better because he's more explosive than Leonard Fournette. I just think he's slightly better in every category than Dalvin Cook, and I have high regard for Dalvin Cook. These guys are all really good.
Right.
But if I'm going to take one guy first in the draft, all-around ability, I'm going to take Joe Mixon. But I'm factoring out what obviously happened, the monumental mistake that he made that he's going to have to live with the rest of his life. I have to, if we're just doing the vacuum here of talented back, I'm going to take that back first.
For me, Skip, I'm going to say no because I think McCaffrey's body of work, and I'm not going to even look, I know it's hard for us to look in a vacuum and say, okay, we got to exclude this part, but Mel is just talking about talent. So I'm just going to talk about talent. I'm just going to talk about Christian McCaffrey's body of work. Here's a guy that as a sophomore rushed for 2,000 yards, broke Barry Sanders' all-purpose yardage in a single season, follow that up with a 1,600-yard rush season. I believe legitimately, if he were to just devote himself and say, you know what, I don't want to be a running back, I want to be a slot receiver.
Now, I agree
I
with
think
that.
he could be a top 5 slot receiver.
I agree.
In his first year.
No doubt.
And this is why I give him the nod, because I do believe Joe Mixon can catch the football. He can run the football, but I like McCaffrey's quickness a little better. And if you're going to say, I don't think Mixon is a punt returner.
He's not a punt returner,
but he's a kick returner.
He can, but like Joyce pointed out, 97 yards against Ohio State. It's pretty good.
And we saw that performance that McCaffrey did against Iowa. That might have been one of the greatest all-around performances that you'll see.
For me, it's at the top of the list.
And then, Skip, you got to realize that Stanford runs a power, pull the guard, pull tackle, sometimes the center, power scheme.
They do.
And so McCaffrey ran pretty well for a guy his size. He ran exceptionally well in between the tackles. I like Dalvin Cook. Let's look at him as automobiles. I look at Leonard Fournette as a pickup truck. Let's say he's a Raptor. Really nice one. Matte finish, nice black rims, high, tall.
What'd you call it?
A Raptor.
I don't even know a Raptor. I don't know pickup trucks.
Ford.
Go ahead.
But it's a nice one. Okay. Matte finish.
You have one?
No.
You got everything else?
No. I have, okay, he is either a Raptor or a Shelby. We're going to stick with Fords because I think they sponsor part of our show.
I know Shelby Mustang.
No, they got a Shelby pickup truck too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nice. Got a roster too. But let's go. I look at Leonard Fournette as a pickup truck. 2 down back.
Okay.
Now, he's exceptional on those 2 downs, but he runs the contact, and he's a collision guy.
He is.
So long term, I don't know.
He takes a second to sort of get unwound, right?
I look at Cook, I look at Mixon, and I look at McCaffrey as Range Rovers. They're SUVs. Guess what, Skip? I can drive them to the gym, drive them to pick up, go to grocery shopping. But if I want to step out in a tux, a suit, and a booty, Joey, you know what I'm talking about, I can pull up in the range. They offer more versatility. Pickup trucks, you can haul some things. Nah, but you're not trying to go to no black tie event. You ain't rolling up in no pickup truck. Joey, you know what I'm saying, Joey? You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know. Some people are very, very attached to their pickup trucks.
Let me ask you a question. When you at Miami and they roll up to the hot spot, how many of them pull up in a pickup truck?
He sniffed. That means you can't answer.
Skip. Stop giving my telltale away, Skip.
You have a tell.
I know I do. Why you do that, Skip? That's between me.
Sniff. That means I got you, right?
So this is why I like, and I think Mixon and Cook and McCaffrey. But I think McCaffrey, can you imagine McCaffrey in Green Bay? With the way they throw the football and the way they use their running backs, or put him in New England? Because think about it.
Okay, but I still say that's icing on the cake, and it is sweet icing.
Now, Joy, you mentioned 3 teams took him off their draft board. Now, it's being reported that the New England Patriots are one of those teams, and they should. After drafting a serial killer about 4 years ago in Aaron Hernandez, they should have nobody with any, if you got a speeding ticket, they should take you off the draft board.
They didn't know he was a serial killer, right? I mean, he wrote them this gushing letter, handwritten note to Belichick.
And the same one
they bought it.
And the same, you remember when he got that contract extension? The $40 million contract extension, he got all that money to sign, and he said how grateful he was and how he changed his past. He just went out there a week later and killed 2 people. I mean, come on, Skip.
Okay.
So I have no problem with them taking him off their draft board. Hey, they're not dealing with, Coach Belichick, one thing.
But he's taking a bunch of high-risk players, right?
But he got religion all of a sudden, Skip. We got religion now. I like McCaffrey. I like Cook because they're just of explode. See, for me, Cook looks faster than 4.51. You watch him play, Skip, you're thinking a low 4.4.
Plays faster.
Yes!
I would agree.
Yes!
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey is everything I thought he would be. The Combine confirmed what I thought. When you watch him, he looks quick. His shuttle says he's exceptionally quick. You say, well, he looks fast. 4.48, that's a tick slower than what Zeke ran. Okay. He is fast. He looks explosive. 37.5-inch vertical and a 10-plus long jump, broad jump, says he's explosive. Joe Mixon, the thing is, Joe Mixon probably has a little better power because, as you mentioned, he has the 20 pounds of body weight on him. But all things being equal, I think Leonard Fournette, if he goes somewhere like Carolina, they say toss it to the guy, power I-type team.
That would work.
He could work. McCaffrey, Cook, they need to go because they're 3-down backs. Now, I don't think they're going to hand him the ball 20 times a game like they gave Zeke. No, that he's not a 300 carry. Those are not 300 carry guys. But get them 200 carries, get them another 50, get them another 10, 25 on returns, they can be valuable. Okay. But for me, I think McCaffrey is a tick above those other 2.
But I'm going to remind you, when Stanford tried to bang him between the tackles last year, he got beat up. Not that it knocked him completely out, but he had one injury after another, minor you would call them injury, but he got beat up because he's just not the biggest guy.
Think about it, Skip. When you talk about Stanford, that's all they got. Oklahoma got Samaje Perine.
Yep.
They got D.D. Westbrook. They loaded. You play Stanford, stop McCaffrey. So let me ask you a question. If you switch teams, you put McCaffrey at Oklahoma and you put Mixon at Stanford, you think Mixon can do at Stanford what McCaffrey did? I guarantee you, McCaffrey could do top what Mixon did. In that spread open offense, Skip.
Hey, if you put Joe Mixon, who's from the Bay Area, behind that Stanford line last year and you just pounded with him, I think they would have had a better record. I think they would have won more games. Skip. It would have fit them better.
But Skip, you got D.D. Westbrook, who's the Biletnikoff Award winner. He is. And so now I can't condense, I can't drop 8 guys because they're going to throw the ball over the top.
Okay, but I thought Mixon was underutilized because Samaje Perine, as a freshman, looked like a Heisman winner. He was on the path.
Little bowling ball.
And it was the 2 of them, so they had to split carries. And I kept saying, But Mixon's just better. Give it to Mixon more. Play him more.
Well, Skip, it's hard to say a guy's better when he rushes for over 430 yards and set the NCAA rushing record of all time. So,
well, it's pretty interesting how much it's changed for Mixon, going from undraftable to possibly going.
I believe he'll be
round.
one of the first 64 players called.
Well, Klatt actually had Mixon at 49.
49.
49?
In his whole list.
Okay. Oh, 49, but okay.
Yeah, in his whole list of players, and we'll find out the draft starting on April 27th. No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Hope you enjoyed all the great guests and fun we had today. We run it back tomorrow with Chris Carter, Chris Broussard, Rob Parker, and Joel Klatt. We'll talk to you then. Fox Sports 1 of 1.